Do you know what happens when someone in Havana lights a cigar?
Somewhere in the world, Aguilar takes a life.
So they say.
Underneath the neon and technological disguise of Cyberpunk 2077, crime and corruption runs rampant. This cruel environment is unfortunately not bound to the confines of Night City. Suffering is widespread no matter the country you step in, the only place of refuge essentially being the Crystal Palace, a location in space for the ultra-wealthy. So it should come as no surprise that one of the most popular occupations happens to be that of mercenary work. Mercs typically work with fixers, a go-between who slap together a team of pros with the right skills for the client. Fixers will take care of all the messy intricacies of dirty biz. You won't even have to meet the merc doing it for you, if that's what you want. The job will get done quickly and discreetly, for the right price of course. Most mercs start out on the street, taking whatever comes their way until they can catch a fixer's attention. Only a few of them end up like Morgan Blackhand or Andrew Boa Boa Wayland. This is to say, legends. A classification of mercs that stand out from the rest, for not only their experience, but achievements. The very name of a legend alone demands respect and invokes a sense of fear. The most popularized through Morgan Blackhand being that of solos, mercenaries who specialize in combat skills, whether on the battlefield or as hired muscle. In the recent Phantom Liberty expansion, we were introduced to one such legend that captured the attention of many. There's a catch with this legend though. They are not unique to Night City, and we never even meet them. Yet their reputation alone tells us everything we need to know. Aguilar Nubiola. The codename of this assassin for hire, who works for the Cuban cartel, has become synonymous with bad news. It is said that every time someone in Havana lights a cigar, Aguilar extinguishes a life somewhere around the globe, all to secure the interest of their employers. In the criminal underworld, they have developed the reputation of the ultimate assassin, ruthless, incorruptible, and brutally efficient. Sometimes they act as a negotiator, where even their mere presence can cool heated disputes. Should the one-person diplomatic routine fail, bodies will begin to drop, as many as necessary. Their legend has grown to the point that some Valentinos scare their misbehaving children with the warning, if you don't quiet yourself, Aguilar will. Even if you only believe a fraction of the urban legends tied to them, the infamous assassin would still have dozens of high-profile victims to their name. Whether you're a gang leader, police commissioner, corp exec, or politician, when you hear the name Aguilar, you run, you hide, and you pray for mercy. But before we continue, I just have a quick word about this channel's partner, GFUEL. Their product line are essentially energy formulas that provide a great drink alternative that has the caffeine, taste, and zero sugar that I usually look for. Today happens to also be the last day of their Black Friday buy one get one sale, which happens to include the Edgerunners Immunofluid collab. So, if you're interested in checking out their products, I will have my affiliate link down below. If you end up wanting to buy some GFUEL and would like to support the channel while doing so, make sure to use code LaidbackGamers for 20% off as well. Alright chooms, now we can begin. We come to learn of this legend thanks to a gig provided by Mr. Hands after the main Phantom Liberty story. So spoilers ahead if you haven't finished the expansion. Mr. Hands gives V a briefing on the situation. He wishes to select a successor to take over Dogtown that will personally benefit him. The second-hand man to Hanson, Chester Bennett. He then makes it clear that this mission won't be done by good old V, but rather V disguised as Aguilar, a merc assassin from Havana, a living legend, using an imprint and replicas of Aguilar's gun and suit to pull it off convincingly. You're likely starting to wonder at this point why I keep using gender-neutral pronouns in reference to Aguilar. That is, if you only played the gig through once. This is because Aguilar's own gender is tied with that of yours. If you're a male V, you're a male Aguilar. If you're a female V, you're a female Aguilar. So, what could this mean for Aguilar as a character? Well, it really seems to come down to a couple different concepts. The first being it could just be an impactful choice that's meant to draw some parallels between V and Aguilar. So if a player feels like their story correlates with theirs on a more personal level. So whatever gender you are is the canon gender for Aguilar in said timeline. I find the other implications much more interesting. Its obvious gender isn't necessarily a prerequisite for the imprint technology, seeing as Alex can disguise as Almeric in the event that you're a female V and disguise as his sister. So, Mr. Hands definitely did not have to swap up the imprint specifically for V. It actually seems to me that the characters we encounter as Aguilar have never actually met them, and in all likelihood, wouldn't even know their gender. Only the rumored appearance that even Mr. Hands can get replicas of. The suit, gun, and basic facial features to identify them, such as the cybernetic eyes and gold facial cyberware. It's obvious by Jago's reaction that he's never laid eyes on Aguilar, and while it might feel a bit less obvious, even Bennett's reaction doesn't necessarily say much besides he knows the key identifiers to look for and is aware of Barghest's connection to Aguilar, so of course he could connect the dots to learn them in this scenario. Nothing truly implies that they've met face to face before. So, this is how I look at it. Aguilar could just be an assassin for the Cuban cartel with an unknown identity, but rumors and urban legends, strong enough to make them recognizable by name and style alone. Or, Aguilar is more of a concept, a shared name and disguise among different solos of the Cuban cartel, or in this case, people like V borrowing their appearance. A name with meaning beyond a single person, a legend that could be across the world all at once. The rest of the questline is rather self-explanatory. You can find out that Bennett has contacts in Arasaka attempting to take over their smuggling routes. Then you arrive to the final destination, the memorial service for Hansen. Here, there are several different outcomes. Jago can either become the leader, die, or continue living while Bennett is in leadership, and Bennett can also die or continue living with Jago in leadership. Everything wraps up shortly after this decision. The only catch afterwards being that you get an alleged text from Aguilar, saying perhaps one day we will meet and learn just how well an imitation can rival the original, if at all. How amusing that would be. Nothing ends up coming of this though. So, here's the question I'm sure many of you chooms have. Does Aguilar ever appear in the tabletop RPGs? Well, from what I've personally found, no. I dug through Cyberpunk Red, Cyberpunk 2020 sourcebooks, and more, none of which really even mention much of Cuba or the cartel within it. So what we do know is very little. The Caribbean has been swelling with criminal organizations long before the 2000s, and had an alarming amount of both legal and illegal immigration into Miami leading up to the collapse. A lot of these immigrants happened to be connected with the various criminal organizations of their home countries before coming to America. Eventually, one of the 7 largest nomad groups in North America would form from the mass immigration from the Caribbean and South America, the Blood Nation. It's important to note as well that by the time of 2062, climate change wiped Cuba's neighbor, Haiti, off the face of the earth, so I'm sure things aren't looking pretty for Cuba. While there's plenty to say on the formation of the Blood Nation, and even Central America, that's about where any info on Cuba, its cartel, and most importantly, Aguilar, ends. And that has been everything we know about the legend, Aguilar. This came out to be much shorter than what's expected of these lore videos, but what can I say? Aguilar is a secretive person. I would assume you can say the same for the Cuban cartel. But don't give up just yet. We always have the Edgerunner's mission kit and future source books to look forward to, so be on the lookout for future updates. I hope you enjoyed and learned some new information to further your knowledge of the Cyberpunk universe. If you enjoyed the video and perhaps want to learn some more about the vast lore hidden in Cyberpunk, check out my lore playlist down below. And make sure to subscribe and check out my other content if you haven't already. As always, a huge thanks to all the channel members up on screen. I appreciate all your support and the preem interactions we have together. I'm seriously grateful to be a part of the community and a content creator for you all as well. I'm currently working on some upcoming Witcher content, so stay tuned. Make sure to have a great week, and I will see you later, chooms.